I am live. I am live. I have not been on here for a hot minute. I am live. Hey. It's been a long time. You to the tube. You to the tube. Okay. Welcome everyone. My name is Ingazi Cadmus, and welcome to the Ingazi Cadmus channel. I have been gone for a hot sec, a while, and in all honesty, initially it was because of the TEDx. I completed my TEDx. So I was focused on that, and then I was recovering from that, and I just wasn't really motivated. I think um, I have to give up my hats. I have to give my hat up to content creators. I think many people assume that content creating is easy because you know when we think about it in contrast to other jobs, and let's put it in context. In contrast to I don't know, a mechanical engineering, or in contrast to social work or psychotherapy, it cannot compare. But it's still difficult because one, not everyone can do it. There's thousands of YouTubers, and not everybody makes money from it. Not everybody makes livable money from it, and not everybody is able to make a brand that goes even beyond that. So the reality is, if there is only a few people, and I say few, it's still quite a lot of few, but not everybody is making millions and has shows and has done many things outside and after YouTube. It's a percentage, probably what 1 to 5% potentially, meaning that then it's hard. It's not easy to get and grab people's attention and hold it and then turn those people's attentions into supporters, into subscribers, into people that pay for products or services that you provide, right? That's that, let alone the actual producing of the content, showing up, what idea you're going to talk about. Then if you edit the videos, all of that takes a lot of work. And I already knew that it took work. I never was under the illusion that it was easy. And I'm not even surprised at having a gap, because even though I'm very consistent, it did take something as big as TEDx to kind of then create the chasm between I was doing it literally every single week, creating content, which is hard for me because I'm not this way wired, to now being in this situation where nearly 3 months went by with no content. And it wasn't like I wasn't saying I'm going to do it. It just never did, because I would have to wear makeup, and I just felt I don't want to wear makeup for no reason. I actually want to wear makeup if I'm actually going to do something. And every time I would wear makeup for something else, I just wouldn't plan it, or I wouldn't really get my husband to put all of this up for me to record. So I decided today to do it, mainly because the Instagram content will uh, get expire, meaning that the content that we've created and we've backed up will get to a point where there's no new content being uploaded. So it will mean that I need to create content. So I was like, okay, at least this content will last for maybe a week, and I've got to now create content for a few more weeks. The difficulty for me is, let me be very honest with you. One, I am extremely busy, and creating content itself is not what I'm passionate about, if that makes sense. Where some people are passionate about creating content, i.e., my husband enjoys the process of content. So yes, he wants his YouTube to grow, but he actually enjoys it. He enjoys the creative process. This is not the way my creativity is set up. I am not a visual person. I am not this creative. There's like, I'm not an artist. I'm not a good drawer. That my creativity comes from creating something that doesn't exist into something, creating a business, creating, strategy. I'm a visionary. I've got an idea, and I can somehow I get people under my idea and support me. I've been when I think about it, a lot of the ideas that I've done and tried to implement or am implementing people around me love it, are passionate about it, and support me in doing that. That's another way of being creative. And I think a lot of us entrepreneurs that are not necessarily creating a creative business sometimes underestimate that is creativity. Like if I was to create a workshop, I can create a workshop in less than 2 hours or 3 hours. I'm not even talking with ChatGPT help. Now with ChatGPT help, I can create it in like an hour. But somebody can take a whole day to create a workshop. I can, if focus, I can create it in a couple of hours. My creativity is like that. My ADHD is a superpower where I can multitask. I will be creating that and also doing an assignment anyways. So my creativity is set up in a very different way. So I don't actually, if I'm going to be very honest, what I mean is I don't enjoy this process. I find it quite stressful. I find it stressful finding topics to talk about. There was no topic that piqued my interest enough. Or let me say that if it did, I just felt like the level of effort it would take for me to come on and wear makeup and talk about it, I didn't have the motivation for it. So that was the biggest issue. Because I talk about things that are trending, that I find interesting, that I think I can also provide a biblical and psychological perspective, I also don't actually find a lot of things interesting. I can talk about it for a minute and that's it. There's lots of things that happened this week that, I could talk about. Maybe I will talk about it just to add extra content as well. But I talk about it late. By the time all of this comes out, it's a week old, right? That's one of the issues that I have, is that I don't jump on things in the moment. But that's because I like the process, and I'm also busy. I'm running a business, I'm doing a doctorate, and I've got a startup that I'm doing. So you can imagine, and I still do social work, and I do things in my fellowship. So the amount of things that I'm doing is more than the average person. So adding YouTube and content creating on top is an added, burden. And because I don't enjoy the process, it is difficult then to remain consistent after I had a genuine break that was needed, because it's like, oh, I've got to get back on the horse. I find actually this process stressful. Now, I'm going to talk about Danae Jackson. As the whole world is talking about her. And I spoke about Danae Jackson and Derek Janks in December. I didn't talk about it when it happened in 2021 because I wasn't on YouTube then. But I did speak about this when Derek Jackson announced his divorce to his wife on Instagram. So it makes sense for me to speak about her going on the Their Future Wifey podcast. I think I will also speak on the Nigerian, I can't remember his name now, so that will be in the second part. I will speak about him as well. I just think that could be quite an interesting perspective to provide as well. And that probably be it, unless something else comes to my mind. Those are the two topics I'm going to talk about today and share my perspective. So I hope you guys enjoy. So I have not prepared and I'm a bit rusty. I haven't been on this StreamYard for 3 months, so please bear with me. But let's get right into it. So those that have joined me, my name is Ingrid Kadimus. I am a mental health and leadership expert, psychotherapist, social worker, and entrepreneur. And I am passionate about everything mental health, everything faith, and everything, I guess, the Black community, you can say. So this week, we all know, if you don't know, where are you? No. If you don't know, there's a woman called Danae Jackson. She is a 33-year-old Black woman in America who was married to a relationship guru called Derek Janks. Derek Janks had a cheatgate, if you want to call it that, in 2021, where he was exposed by a famous YouTuber called Tasha K for cheating on his wife with many women. Now, when you hear that, you might think, okay, he ain't the first to do that, right? No, he is not. He's not the first to cheat on his wife. That wasn't the full issue. It was the fact that he was one of the only relationship gurus that acted like his sugar honey iced tea don't stink. There was a sense that he wasn't the guys he was talking about. Most women that followed him because they felt he was like a unicorn. Whereas there was other guys in the space that he's also collaborated with, like Stephen Speaks and Tony Gaskins. They've owned up to the things that they've done. So there's no one under the illusion that they're this perfect guy. You know, they're honourable men right now. But I think what the issue with Derek Janks is, and I think, is that he created a relatable archetype, we first thought, that's really unrealistic. And I think a lot of women are still in bondage with that because people are still following him. Maybe they don't know, because reality is, look, let's just be honest, you can have a scandal, unless it's P or R, you can kind of get through the scandal because people forget, people have short attention spans, and there's people that don't know you. There's people this week that I spoke about that don't know this couple. So there's a lot of people within the black community, within other communities, that don't know this and will find him, see his videos. Not every single person researches every single person they follow. Like, I don't even do that. I do mostly. So you could literally follow this person and not know he's had any scandal, not know that he's lying. He can create a whole new set of followings of people who take him at his word. But there are still people who know that he lies, know that he cheats, know that he's a hypocrite, know that he is basically an actor. He's selling a con to make money. He's creating a fantasy of a man that does exist, but he isn't the man that exists in that. He does not fulfill those requirements, because the issue is there's people that talk about an archetype of a guy that they don't even they fulfill, because there are men that do that. But he wasn't that, but he portrayed himself. Did he say that he was? Maybe not. Maybe in a court of law, he could arguably say that he did not say that he was that, but he alluded to it. He didn't say he wasn't that, right? He alluded to it. Now, that aside, that to me is the biggest issue. How he treated his wife was disgusting, but that is not a unfamiliar story, unfortunately. That is not a, oh my God, it's like, boy, it happens, right? And that is what is sad, that for many of us, it's like, this is not a unique story. I think it's unique because of some of the circumstances surrounding Danae Jackson. A lot of people judged her. I can actually say I wasn't in that camp. I can say that. It's not like, people say that when it's like, I was not in that camp. When I say judged her, I don't mean like, you can have an opinion. I mean, I didn't cuss her and insult her, think she was crazy. I said this woman is traumatized from the bonnet gate, from the helmet of salvation. I could tell that she was just overflooded with so much what was going on, overstimulated. There was a lot happening. And we find out that during that time where people thought she was crazy, she found out she was pregnant, and she was dealing with grief and dealing with the cheating publicly. And people are so quick to, I don't know, it's not judge. People are so quick to denounce a person, and majority of people would not survive in a situation. Let me be very honest with you, right? There is a psychology behind people who are quick to point out the flaws of others and cannot take criticism themselves, because most people, even YouTubers that are talking about her, I've not watched many videos, because I said, you know what? Everyone's got a right to their opinion, and I'm not saying my opinion is the right opinion, but I just don't know how you can watch the video and then insult her and cuss her. She's taken accountability. I'm going to share clips, but I really want to just give a sense of my thoughts and feelings before I even show the clip. She's taken accountability. She's taken accountability. She has what's the other word? She'd owned up to stuff that she'd owned up to. There may be other stuff she can't, or she won't, or she doesn't need to, or she can't because she's in a divorce. But from my opinion, she was accountable. She did what a lot of women do, maybe to another extreme, and she's growing and learning, right? What is there to cuss and insult? Like, you can do a thesis and dissertation of why. She's already told you why. Some people are doing like their psychoanalysis. Like, bro, we're not psychoanalysts. She's told you that she was abandoned by her father. She was odd, and then literally 3 weeks after met this guy. He took her V, because obviously, well, she was violated, so that's not, she was still a V. He took her. So there's so many things that build on top. And you have to understand any trauma that you experience is presented in different ways. Somebody else's trauma of being abandoned may not have presented itself in a way where she chases a man. It may have, some people shut down and don't want to be with anybody at all. Some people get promiscuous. She was really, in a weird way, she was promiscuous with Derek Jack before they got married. Some people go on a wild promiscuous spree. There's so many different ways that trauma shows up. The symptoms are always different. So it's really important to understand that the triggers, the traumas, the things that happen in your life that are adversities will manifest in very different forms and many different ways. So I don't understand the level of hate and criticism. I haven't seen many, but I'm sure there are videos of her that are like that. People are using titles like she's the real villain. I think a lot of that's for clickbait, but some people might genuinely believe that actually she's the real villain, and her talk, her podcast, her interview vindicates Derek Jans. People are very weird. People are different. So the reason I'm saying all of this is because it's very easy to give a online dissertation. Even me sitting here, I can give an online dissertation, but I am not her. I am not going back to her kids. I'm not facing what she has to face. And I think it's really important that we understand that human beings, particularly on social media, how they show up themselves, is fluff. It's very fluffy because people will say things and then take it back. There are people, which I'm really glad they did. Half of the comments that I saw was saying, "We judge you too quickly. I'm so sorry." And it just shows you we can be so premature in making judgments and making statements and making denouncements. And we don't want to hear the full side. We want to hear a side and that's it. Now, of course, it would be good to hear his side, potentially, because there is his side to it as well. But he's also giving his side. So hearing for me, we don't need to hear his side. Like, we heard his side in 2021. We heard his side. Really and truly, she more reacted and was more like saying things that people felt were a bit crazy, and it just showed that she was unraveling. But we've already heard this. I don't know what more side. To me, we have had every single day he posts a video. He's showing you that he's a con artist. So that's it. So yes, I think it's good to hear his side, but it's not that I don't need to hear his side. In this case, I wouldn't put. I'm not the jury, not the judge, but it's quite simple what he's doing. He's divorced his wife, and he wants to do what he wants. And he, of course, is going to regret it. He is doing what many, not only men, women, people do, where they basically make a really stupid decision and will later regret it. Now, it probably is the best thing for her because she wasn't going to divorce him. That's what's one. I don't think many people have clocked that she would not have divorced him. So though she's healing and growing, in one sense, he's forced her to do that because he pulled the plug on the marriage. Okay, let me actually play a video because you're just hearing me speak. And you're not hearing the video. So let me actually play the video. Okay, let me actually share the screen first. I'm realizing we got to share the screen. Present, share screen. And share audio. So I want to play. Yeah, I'll play all of that.
What did that do to you?
I became a shell of myself. I didn't know who I was. I actually have a couple posts on my page where it's like, I have a post that says, "I knew her body better than I knew my own."
Stop. Let that sit there. You said you knew another woman's body better than you knew your own.
Yes, several women. I knew several other women's bodies better than I knew my own. And I spent a lot of time, like I went in such a deep hole where I was like studying these women. I would go to their profiles and I would study their pages and like what they wear. I knew when they had met up. So I watched their videos of them having sex. So I would try to imitate that and recreate that in our relationships so that he could choose me and want me. And that is a low point to be. And I'm tearing up a little bit because I hate that I even got to a point where that was a thing, but that it was just that. And so I knew several other women's bodies better than I knew my own. I completely lost myself. I became a shell of myself. I tried to imitate their hair, their actions, even sexual things that I had seen him doing with them. I tried to recreate that in our life when we were engaged, and none of it amounted to anything.
So powerful. So powerful. So that was actually the video. I guess it went viral. You could say that was a really good promotion for it. I would say, if I'm not mistaken, I don't watch their Future Wifey often, but that probably would be one of his fastest watched videos because the amount of videos the first video has got is nearly 500,000. And Derek Janks has not posted and has is it discontinued or restricted his comments? He hasn't posted, but on his current post that he had before the podcast came out, he restricted the comments. You know, what do you say? When you see that, she articulated what a lot of women have done before. So what a lot of women do, but have not put it in words, because it's not something you just say, yeah, you know, that person, my partner cheated and I'm trying to copy, you know, no. But this is what happens when you deal with levels of betrayal. You know, this sometimes can happen if a father abandons you for another family. You start to look at the family and you might even be competing secretly with the family. Or competing with the children, the family. You think how, you know, especially as the child of being abandoned, thinking, so you left me for them. You're not seeing it that he left mummy. You're like, well, you left me because you chose another family instead of me. Especially if you're the first family as well. You know, that's really difficult. You start to compare yourself. You might be secretly competing. And a lot of people that will watch this can attest that they've secretly competed with half brothers and sisters. That's why polygamy is, I think, a big issue. And it's probably one of the things that affect a lot of African countries, because you can't trust, well, you can't even trust your full brothers and sisters, but you can't trust your half brothers and sisters because it's usually a different mother that raised them, a different mother that's angry, envious about your mother, you know, or the other mothers, you know, all trying to seek attention of this man who's put them together, and all of the children are not getting equal shares of the man. They can't, because there's too many kids, too many mothers, too many interests, too many personalities. So she is saying that she would watch. We don't know exactly how she gets these videos. When I say how, well, we can allude to the fact that it seems that she watches it without his knowing. So she goes into his phones and he's recorded videos. So that means, look, people record their videos, and I think there's a lot of conversation of people should just maybe not, or if you do it with your wife, do it with somebody who hopefully it's very unlikely it's going to go out into the world, because all of these celebrities and people having sex tapes, I just don't understand how in this day and age, 2023, it keeps happening. It's like, you want it to happen, right? I don't know how it happened, or why don't you do it, record it, watch it, and then delete it? But anyways, right? People have their interests. So he's recording himself having sexual intercourse with people that are not his girlfriend, his wife. It's really interesting. He has it on his phone. She watches it. She literally watches it having sex. So assuming that it could be in this position, it could be in the position where, like, it's crazy. Because for someone to record them having sex, then see it fully, it means he's put his phone in the position either on a stand, or on a selfie stand, or back in the day, it'll be on a table, to angle it so you can watch it, to then watch yourself back. It really, I think majority of people don't record themselves. They are in their experience. They enjoyed the experience. They need to record it. So the fact that he recorded himself is telling. It's telling. Then she watches it and then tries to recreate stuff in the bedroom to the point where she said in another video that he sleeps with many women, but he does have a big preference for dark skin. And one of her daughters is dark skin, and she found it difficult because she felt the daughter came in the preference of the women that he normally likes, which is so deep, right? Normally it's the other way around. Normally it's like, the light-skinned mother and the dark-skinned daughter, isn't it? Or even a dark-skinned mother and dark-skinned daughter. So the area of her, she's not light-skinned, but she's lighter shaded than her daughter, is interesting. And I haven't experienced it, but I know a lot of daughters have experienced not being liked by their mums. I think we don't talk about this enough, but a lot of children know, and growing up with their parents not liking them, especially their mothers, being envious of them. You remind me of your dad. So because I remind you of daddy and daddy wasn't good to you, you take it out on me, or you don't treat me well, which is really sad. And I don't understand how I can blame my child for anything somebody else does. But people's psychology is broken. People's mindsets are broken. So it means that you can look at your daughter and begin to despise your daughter. It's crazy, right? I'm not just talking about her, I'm just talking about in general. You can look at yourself, be so broken, because Danae is a beautiful woman. I saw that she was beautiful from the get-go. So it's like now, like, oh, she's pretty, and it's like, we sometimes need to go past the wildness. Like, if you saw me like this one day, right, how many people could see past just a crazy hairstyle? It's weird. It shows you that we take information, which is true. We discriminate quite quickly from what we see, and then we make those judgments without taking the full picture in. And I think that it shows you the level of brokenness Danae was already in, that she then projected. Yeah, she had like, I'm gonna say body dysmorphia, but kind of this dysmorphia of she couldn't see herself, but could only see herself through the eyes of the woman that he was sleeping with. And she could never satisfy him because he was never satisfied. And she herself was never satisfied because she wasn't being herself. She was trying to be all of these other women. And it's such a powerful thing because it happens. More women that are watching this, more women that they care to admit do this and continue to do this. When the Bible talks about adultery, because of how much, the reason why it's one of the biggest betrayals ever is this is a perfect example. Welcome whoever's joined. I don't know who's joined. Hey, put a comment if you can. The reason why cheating is such a painful thing, because it literally tears at the fabric of the core. The core of a relationship is trust. When you commit adultery, when you cheat, when you have an affair, when you step out, you tear at the fabric of trust. And because trust is an indelible component to function as a human being, right? Human beings that do not trust do not function. That's why we have something called psychosis. When you feel that everybody's out here to attack you, you don't trust people. It is very dysfunctional to live that way. I've got clients that I've worked with that do not trust to the point where they don't leave their house, where it will take them an hour to go from A to B, that's 10 minutes, because they are worried, they are suspect, they go back on themselves. Yeah, that's an extreme. Yeah, when I say extreme, I mean that's on a spectrum of severity. But the point is that when you break trust in a person, they don't trust themselves, they don't trust how they are perceived in the world, they don't trust other people, that is mental illness. So when you're in a relationship, let's just talk romantically, but it could be mother and father, so it could be mother to child, sibling to sibling. When trust is broken, right, it can be so irrevocable that you are unable to relate with the person because a part of you has gone. When you have an affair, you take a part of the person away. So that analogy makes sense. And that's why it's hard for people to repair from affairs. So you have to be broken. You have to feel that you deserve it. You have to just accept being a doormat to even maintain and be delusional. There's a level of delusion when you allow cheating because you're living a lie. There's no trust, but you are okay with lack of trust because it's better than anything, right? So you stay. You sustain a relationship that is faulty and that is broken because of many reasons, for the children, for the sake of reputation, many different factors. So that was powerful. That was powerful. And it's so crazy because he mentioned the guy, I can't remember his name, the host of the podcast, said he didn't want to take advantage of her. He wanted to make sure she's in the right state of mind, and she is. But, you know, at the same time, you got to use marketing tactics. So that, when I saw that, I was ready, bro. That made me was like, I couldn't wait to watch. Very few videos get me that excited to go and watch, you know what I mean? Unless it's like a music video, like, oh. But it got me excited. I was like, yes. I was like, So let's see if we can watch another one. Give a little bit of my 2 pence. This one comes from, I think, Tasha K's. She got exclusive.
Anyway, we were still engaging sexually, even though we were off, right? And so it was in this time where there was a lineup of us. We was passing each other on the stairway in and out.
No, y'all wasn't. No, y'all was not passing
you think this is a game.
You were not passing each other on the stairway. No, y'all was.
We were passing each other on the stairway. Like, this is my shift from this time to this time. So, you know, I was a willing participant in that. And it's like, I can laugh about it now, but it's really sad, you know, to like, what space do you have to be in to accept that? And so I dealt with it already, so I could laugh about it now. And it's funny,
that's what healing
but
look
it's like,
healing,
right?
you look back at your old self and laugh.
I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, no, seriously. It was, you know, I'm coming over at this time. I know such and such is going to be rolling through about, you know, an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
And sometimes we went a little bit longer. So literally passing each other on the stairs, like out the door. All right, have fun, you know, your shift.
You know what's so crazy, yeah? You might hear a bell. It's food from Deliveroo, not sponsored. So, just need to make sure that my mum opens the door and gets me the food, please. I think it's them. Sorry. Hello.
Hello, number flat house?
No, it's a house. Number 16.
Huh?
Number 16.
16.
16.
I am or the door. Yes.
You're outside. Can you just press the bell, please? So press the bell because I'm not coming out. It's my mum that's going to come out.
Yes, yes.
Press the bell. Guys, sorry for this. I hope he's at the house because the way the guy acting. Why is it acting like this? Come on. No, go outside. I think they're here. They're here. Find them, please, because I'm doing the live. Sorry, guys. I know the way that these delivery people can be, some of them are ridiculous. I just fingers crossed the food is here because I spent money on that. Okay, so going back to what we're talking about, yeah. So I'm glad I watched this again because when I watched that part, you know, I missed it. I thought she was talking about work shifts. I thought she said that she was seeing him at work and they were taking shifts. Honestly, that's what I thought. So I didn't. Now it makes sense. She was saying that she was saying that essentially the person's not even here. Why is the person calling me? I'm scared that the person. Mum?
Yeah,
So just take the phone and call the rider. Sorry.
okay,
Just yeah. I'll just call the rider. Take the phone.
okay, this one.
Turn it upside down. Mum, go. Thank you. Close the door. The door closed. The door's closed. Sorry. Anyways, this at least would be cut out in post-production because I didn't expect this delivery. I hate when things like this happen because this could have been straightforward, simple. We do delivery all the time. Could be very straightforward.
Hello, where are you? I'm outside.
Yeah. So I don't know if mother's closed the door. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Hey, like, you know. Okay, so going back to this, I didn't understand it fully, so I took it a different way. But now I'm understanding that. Yeah. Now I'm understanding that basically. She's a willing participant, and they were taking rotations. They were taking turns. They were doing turns. So I think it's important to understand that. Does that make sense, right? They were taking turns with different women. Different women were taking turns with him, and she had such a soul tie because that's extreme. People do that. Like, the thing is, people do that. Maybe not to the point where you see the other person coming out. But how many stories have you said that I saw the girl? And but I think the level of attachment she had towards a man who showed her real dust and very rarely showed true love to her is sad. Very, very sad, which highlights how unhealed she was, highlights how broken she was, highlights how traumatized she was, and how important it is to be as whole as possible, as healed as possible to enter into relationships. You have to be. You have to be. 100% have to be. Can you close the door, Mum? Sorry.
Huh?
Close the door. Close the door, please.
Oh, I shouldn't come.
I'm on live. I'm doing a recording. Okay. Parents. Honestly, there's not. This is. I knew this would be like this, jiggy jaggy. My first time back in this jiggy jagger. Sorry about that, but anyways, yeah. So it's really important. I think people should watch. I've recommended this podcast to my clients because I think it's really touching. You know, I'm watching it from a different angle because I'm watching it happy that she's finally shown who she truly is because I saw that. But I know that for a lot of people, it will encourage them, it will trigger them, but it will teach them. You know, it's really sad. Human beings will continue to make mistakes. The reality is, I can tell you that if you touch this, you will get electrocuted. You would see me do it and you will still do it. That is the fault of humanity, and it's quite scary. Right? It happens. I will touch this, you will touch this. Why are you touching stuff? I touch it. Learn from my mistakes, but we don't want to. We want to do our own mistakes. So the reality is there's going to be more deniers. But there will also be people that almost were. They saw this and they said, I'm getting out of the situation. Or they're about to, not even going to enter. So I think that, quite frankly, her testimony is amazing. I'm a bit disorientated because of the delivery, so I don't know if I can even play another one. To be honest with you, I think I've given a very good go of it. So I might come back and do the I might come back. I'll do a quick live for the other Nigerian one to talk about it, but I don't know. Well, thank you. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for this feedback. Sorry, thank you for this review. Sorry. See you guys on the other side.